Welcome to Spring LIB.
Hello everyone, today we're doing chapter 19, problem 8, and this problem asks us to identify the structure of a compound with a molecular formula of C4H8O2. And with the H NMR spectra of a triplet at 0.9, a doublet or a multiplet representing 2 hydrogens at 1.6, a triplet representing 2 hydrogens at 2.3, and a singlet representing 1 hydrogen at 11.8. So how we should go about solving this is, first we need to determine the degrees of unsaturation. So how we do that is, well, the degrees of unsaturation, or the number of double bonds, equals the number of carbons minus the number of hydrogens and halides over 2, so that's 8 over 2, minus the number of nitrogens over 2, so that's 0 over 2, plus 1. So we have 4 minus 4 equals 0 plus 1 equals 1. So we have 1 degree of unsaturation. So that means we know we have 1 double bond in this molecule. And if we look at the HNMR data, we see that we have 1 proton that's going to be a singlet, so it's not neighboring anything that can couple or split the signal at 11.8. So right off the bat, we can say that the only way that we can have a proton that is not neighboring any other protons is that if it is on this oxygen that is next to a carbonyl group. So essentially what we have is carboxylic acid. So not only that, we know that this proton is extremely acidic, meaning that it's going to fall off very fast, and is also highly de-shielded by the electron withdrawing groups adjacent to it, one being this oxygen, one being the carbonyl oxygen. So we can say that because it's going to be highly de-shielded, it's going to be significantly on the left side of the spectrum and have a high ppm value, such as the one that says 11.8. So we know that this proton is going to have the highest ppm value, so we know that that proton is taken care of. And now we have this 1 carbon here, and there should be a 2nd carbon here, and then let's draw the other 2 carbons to satisfy the molecular formula. We'll just draw straight chains and see if this is true. So let's now work on the most shielded proton. So we should have 3 protons here that are going to be the most shielded, furthest away from these electron withdrawing groups. And these 3 protons are neighboring 2 protons here. So we should see a triplet, or we should see these 3 protons being represented by 2 plus 1 peak. So that equals triplet for 3 peaks. So 3 protons should be representing 3 peaks that should have the lowest ppm value. And that's actually what we see. We see that at 0.95 ppm, we have 3 protons that correspond to a triplet. So now what about these 2 protons here? Well, they're neighboring 3 protons on the right, but they're also neighboring these 2 protons on the left. So these 2 protons in blue, are going to be represented by a multiplet. So remember, you have your n plus 1 times your n plus 1. So you can have 4 times 3. So you might have 12 peaks in this one, maximal. And this should have an intermediate value of ppm, somewhere between the black protons, somewhere between the green protons. So these blue protons, if we look in between, so we have 0.9, 1.65, and 2.3. So we should be interested in 1.65. And in fact, yes, this indeed is a multiplet representing 2 protons. So this supports this potential structure that we drew here. Now, what about the green protons? Well, on the left, there's no neighboring protons. On our right, there's 2. So these 2 protons should be represented by a triplet. And they should have the highest value compared to other than 11.8, and that's going to be actually the 2.3 triplet representing 2 protons, and that's exactly what we see in our question stem. So this is the proposed structure given the data from this question.